we are live. Can all of you hear and see me? Can somebody just type a yes if you can see me on chat? Okay, great. Hello, everyone. We're back with our second webinar. We have an exciting panel for you as always. We have two speakers from Jyothy Labs, but and our moderator Lalit as always. But before I go into that, let me quickly tell you how you can interact with us in this session. You have the option to ask questions to anyone on the panel at any time. All you have to do is go to the chat option on the right side of the window, type in any question you have. That will be addressed to the host of the session. However, we will also reserve 15 minutes of the session for Q&A. So in the last 15 minutes, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand and we will let you in and you can ask questions. Over to you, Lalit.
Thanks a lot, Akshay. So, guys, today I have, so this is something today I'm going to enjoy quite a lot for once. I have a panel which is amazing. As I was mentioning backstage, that we have a panel which is like Batman and Robin, all the superheroes together. I personally like them simply because this is a duo I have been working with for over years, where I have a business leader in Anil who heads the sales of Jyothy Laboratories, and I haven't seen anybody with as much of a passion for tech in the industry as much I have seen in Anil. So I have a sales head who is very passionate about technology. On the other hand, I have Ravi here. Ravi and I know each other for, I don't know, 6-7 years now, and from the time that I've known him, we talk far more business than we talk about IT. So I have an IT head who actually not only understands the nuances of how FMCG in India works, but actually actively participates in making a real difference in it. And I think the only way the whole digital transformation for organizations work is when this partnership works in a good way, where business is able to understand the use and importance of technology, and the technology understands how it is impacting the business to drive real value outcome. Jyothy Labs as a business as an Indian business, has managed phenomenally well to kind of sustain during the crisis times. So while our PM talks about local being vocal, our guys have been vocal and actually showing it in the market to actually make sure the essentials are available in a shop near you. So thank you for that, both Anil and Ravi, and let me welcome you to the panel. Okay. So we will handle this session in three parts. Before I hand it over to Ravi, we will talk about how it helped Jyothy Labs as an organization to be ready digitally to handle the shock of lockdown and pandemic. What they are doing right now to essentially continue business continuity, as well as serving the consumers in this need of ours, and what do they see the future of digital and technology going forward. Those are the three sections we will talk about it before then we let audience participate into it. So we will start with you, Anil. So I'm sure, like all of us, mid-March was a shock for you as well, when suddenly we decided, or rather suddenly the pandemic ascended on India and we decided to go into lockdown. And you have been fairly technologically progressive. What had you done before that kind of helped, or if there was anything that you had done before that helped you kind of handle the shock as an organization?
Yeah. First of all, good afternoon, Lalit, and thank you for such a nice introduction. I think you missed the most important part, is to have a technological partner, right? A solid technological partner. While the business IT can obviously grow, but it has to have on a strong foundation, and we are fortunate enough to have Bizom as our partner, right? Whom we value, whom we look up to, and who is always with us, right? So thank you for that. Before I start, yeah, absolutely. I think it was a shock. I think it was shock to the entire industry and the economy, right? And it was something that nobody had expected. We were obviously going great guns. I mean, being in sales, the quarter numbers, the month numbers, we have to deliver. So that was something that was a big shock to us. And probably I will, there are many things that I would want to talk about. But before that, yes, the most important thing is what was the sort of preparation that we did, right, which probably helped us to sail through this. I think the biggest thing transformation that we had over the last years is in terms of SFA adoption, right? I think you have been the biggest advisor of it, and so rolling out Salesforce automation to 2,000 odd people, right? Wherein the phone numbers were connected and the retailer was connected to us beyond the manual ordering process, right? So once the retailer was connected to us, then it was very easy for us to continue to take those orders so that my salesman is not actually going to the ground, but still we are able to get those orders. So I think in terms of SFA adoption was something which really, really helped us. And obviously we also worked out in rolling out of our Aadhaar and all, which is our database at the distributor end. I think these things over the last 6, 7 months, which we are working upon, really helped us to absorb the shock, right? And I think you are obviously a very, very valuable partner, Bizom being a valuable partner in that. Yeah.
Right. So, for a wider view, Ravi, what did you? I mean, what was your situation like? I mean, so while business wanted all of this, technology innovations, and you were trying to deliver all of them, how what preparation that when this was obviously you couldn't predict it, but there must be something that you had done before that helped you kind of adjust to the situation.
So it's more like being ready always, not only being ready for the situations that we landed up in because of the COVID. It was business as usual for us, and wherein we had post Anil took over from the SFA. That's what we identified is the future for us in terms of getting the technology at the last level of the field force. And we planned it in a way saying that we want 100% of our field force on the SFA at any point of time. So when we ended up at the March, we were already at 100% of the field force on SFA. And if you recollect, we were starting small, but when we started growing it, it was exponential rise after maybe September or October. We started exponentially getting the people onboarded and getting the beats corrected, getting the stockist or retailer connected to each other, so that when we actually had to collect the orders from the retailer, it was not something which we had to innovate at that point of time. So beyond that also, it's always a progressive approach that we would always take either from the IT side or from the business side, both ways, saying that what is the next to come. So we plan for the next step first, so that we are ready for the next step to be taken. Like for example, now from the next step point of view, we already are connected with the retailers. We are that's a plan which is already going on from connecting the retailers as a last mile for us.
Absolutely. No, no, wonderful. So, Ahil, I wanted to ask you a follow-up question. So, I know you as one of the very few guys, one of very few sales heads in the industry, who actually has a daily dashboard, which you religiously see, follow, track, right? My question is, apart from this adoption and usage or digitalization, so all your distributors are digitalized on Aadhaar, all your sales guys are now digitalized on SFA, now your retailers are getting digitalized. But apart from digitalization, for driving adoption, how did you use these analytics, or how did you use these dashboards? I mean, right top from you. So for in you as an organization, as I know, it's not just the MIS guys who use the dashboard. It's you, and because you use it, all of us also have to use it, including Ravi and everybody else. You need to ensure the data there is correct. So, what kind of technology, digital or analytics-related preparations you see? Maybe the audience wants to know what kind of data that you see which helps you make those quick decisions.
Correct, absolutely. Uh, in fact, Lalit, you rightly said what we see at the end of the day, the MIA sees that, right? So if we focus on the primary part, they'll focus on the primary, right? If we focus on the distribution, if we focus on secondary, if we focus on lines per call, if we focus on total calls, productive calls, right? Then the corresponding the salesman also focuses on that, right? So in fact, we got a lot of analytics from the Bizom, I think our technological partner end, in terms of, so we could the most important thing is, so from 9:30 to 5:30, I would exactly know that this salesman has done by 10:15, he has done 11 calls, out of which 7 calls are productive. He has done 3 lines per, so in those 7 productive calls, he has done 3 lines per bill, right? His product, a particular SKU, which was the focus SKU, he has sold only in 6 counters. So it was like a real tracking mechanism. It's like a ATC. I mean, if I want to say like it's it's like a flight path, right? It is for all the 2,000 odd guys. We were exactly able to map every guy every minute across the country, right? So it was like a tracker from 9:30 onwards. Okay, this area. So we would first cut it at the zone level. So hypothetically, if there are 1,000 people, oh, till 10:30 only 500 people are on the market. Why? Right, 500 people are not there in the market. Okay, now out of the 500 people, I see only 300 guys taking the order. So what are the rest 200 guys to do? Even the 300 guys, we are seeing that only they are only taking a order of a particular SKU. Why they are not taking the order? So it's like the entire piece came together, and it was like a complete online tracking of every individual person. So from a sales perspective, it has to work like an army, right? I mean, if they have to leave at this particular time at this particular place every day, then they have to follow that same beat. I think in the past, without the technology, it's very difficult. But now with the SFA and the GPS and the geofencing and the geotagging, I think all the analytics that were provided, I think so the dashboards were pretty clear. First, how many salesmen are there in the market at 9:30? Right, at 10 o'clock, how many salesmen have got? Why there is a delay? Right, so this entire thing was totally streamlined, structured, and tracking right from the bottom to the last guy on the ground. I think that really helped us, and that being done for the last 7 months with the technological support that you provided, because it's not easy to track 1,500 people every minute. Right? I think that those were the things which really helped us in the entire. And yeah, yeah, Ravi.
Impressive. So Ravi, you wanted to add something there, or
Yeah, it's like you have a dashboard which is running, which is live, which is say,
The ticker, live
and
ticker.
so you know that where you are, where the person is. So it's a kind of an auto disciplinary mechanism. It's not that somebody is guiding somebody or somebody. It's an auto disciplinary mechanism which gets in place automatically.
it's also an auto replace, auto fixing thing for us as well. Knowing that every business user is actually seeing it on a minute, we have to ensure that everything there is correct,
Yeah,
because their decisions are basis on top of that.
yeah.
You know, so coming to the second part, I'll start with Ravi this time. So once we had started with lockdown, I think I'm sure first week was chaos for everybody. From what I know, you guys were one of the first and the early reactors of all of this situation to quickly change. So from a technology point of view, or IT point of view, or digital point of view, Ravi, what are the kind of requests started coming to you? I mean, that would be again, as I said, surprising. And what kind of things started coming for you? How did you validate the priority? How did you prioritize them? Which are the new innovations you actually launched, and to handle which problems? And how did you go about doing that?
See, I'll classify broadly into two aspects. One is because we also had to mobilize people working from home. That was one of the other challenges which we had, saying that we want to mobilize people have to work from home. So, in fact, before from the readiness point of view, in fact, before the lockdown was announced officially, we pre to that point of it, we already had started work from home. So even before that started, we were ready from working from home, and the technology that we had adopted and which we had invested in the past helped us or enabled us to work from home from the day one. So there was no disruption from the business working from home at that point. But obviously, you can't have salespeople working from home at the start of it, and neither you can have manufacturing working from home. So those two areas were the bit of a concern initially, but over the period, so that started with the telecalling because you had the telecalling facilities which were enabled for the people to start calling the retailers and getting the orders from there. And if you see the scenario where at the retail side, even if you personally go for shopping to the grocery stores, it was looking like there is nothing inside and the complete grocery shop is vacant. So, and it's not that retailers did not want, retailers wanted the stock to have. It's only that how we could provide the stock to the retailers was the challenge. So once that calling started it, and then the next enablement was how do we enable the retailer to himself give the order. If my boy is not able to reach out to that retailer to collect the order, in what mechanisms can the retailer give the order to me? So then the telecalling started. The second thing was the Discman, which we started with, wherein The retailers could directly put in the orders on the app.
All right. All right. So, great. So, coming to you, Anil, I mean, I see us as a Jyothy Labs as a business, we have coped with this whole crisis situation better than most others. Possibly, if I may say so, maybe even better than the global FMCG giants that we work with in terms of just ensuring availability. I'm sure we did it as a part of our service to the community, especially in this need of hour. But how did so while Ravi was working on furiously getting these things in, how did you ensure that your team, the changes in people, the processes, that is managed so that actually everybody you can actually leverage on the business better than most?
So, Lalit, actually, that's a very, very interesting question. See, the point is that, and actually, this links to your first question, that if you would not have prepared for 7 months, I think these 2 months would have been a very, very difficult for us, right? And actually, rightly said by Ravi, the Distriman app, right? I think that was a wonderful thing, right? And in fact, most many of the retailers now we have started getting a sizable proportion of our orders to Distriman, right? I think that is really helping. But yes, I think technological adoption cannot happen overnight, right? I mean, suppose if we started in March, then probably by this time we wouldn't have. But we started it when you came, and obviously after that, 7 months, and with Ravi's continuous inputs and guidance, for 7 months we worked on it, right? And it's not a small setup because the scale is pretty diverse, rural, right? We have rural stockists, so to ensure adoption across all, we started for 7 months, and probably that helped us now, right? So for the team also, it was pretty easier to adopt any new technology, right? Whether it was even if it was a telecalling or WhatsApp calling or this man, right? So all we had to do was to ensure supplies in the market because order taking was anyway happening. Since because of the technological adoption, the order taking was happening. So we did not have a breakage in the pipe there. All we had to do was to ensure supplies in the market. So this actually helped us to sail through the crisis very, very this time. And really thanks to Bizom for that.
Yeah, no, no. So while I know the scale, but for audience benefit, do you want to give audience a sense of the scale of the challenges? And you make it sound very easy. If you can give a sense of the scale at which you achieved this, whether it's in talking about 7 months or 3 weeks, can you just give an audience a sense of your scale, if for those who don't know?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's like the length and breadth of the country, right? In terms of the distributors, we have like right from JNK to Kanyakumari and villages as low as less than 5K population towns. So you can imagine and obviously our products are very, very rural focused. So it's very deeply penetrated into the rural. I mean, you can imagine the extent of rural distributors, urban distributors. The scale is mammoth. It's pretty intense and very, very, very so. And obviously, that adoption takes time. And the good thing was that we were prepared for it.
Absolutely. Okay, very cool. Coming to the so I mean exactly so what people have started thinking about doing in terms of digital transformation adoption. You guys have obviously been ahead of the curve that you have actually done that. I mean, today our PM announced that, or rather, yes, day before yesterday, our PM announced that local should be vocal. But you guys are actually doing it already for 2 months now. While going ahead from here, I just wanted to understand your perspective from today till, let's say, for next 1 year. And we know that to some extent this is a new normal. What are the innovations you guys are seeing? And I'll start with you, Anil, because from business point of view, what are the kind of transformations you are seeing? And then I'll come to Ravi to understand his tech perspective.
Sure. So I will take this question in two parts. First of all, I would like to establish what is new normal from our lens. And the second part of, I would say, what are the digital supply chains to cater to the new normals. I would probably divide this question into two parts. So first of all, what do I or what do we understand as new normal? I think 3 points, which I would say. One is the curbed store visits. I mean, obviously the retailers are not able to go to the store. Sorry, consumers are not able to go to the store. It is propelling shoppers online. Right? So that is the first one. A curbed store visits propelling shoppers online. That is number one. Second one, very interesting. Interrupted supply is directing the consumers to manufacturers. Right? Earlier, we used to go to the retailers to buy stuff, right? Now there is an interrupted supply chain. So the consumers are actually looking up to manufacturers that is there a way to direct from a manufacturer to home, right? That is a second reality. The third reality is absence of tangible touch points are leading consumers to replicate reality. See, everybody wants to. See, while the online revolution was on, but still you had actually people visiting the stores because they want to experience the reality, right? A tangible reality before they buy a product or buy a experience. So that is getting right now hampered. So probably manufacturers, companies are thinking how to replicate this reality. Right? So these are the three broad, I would say, structural or tectonic shifts that I'm seeing over the next 1 year. Some of the other things, I mean, hygiene portfolio, obviously, in which we play, have a big play, is seeing a major swing, and it will enter into a new dimension. I think the hygiene portfolio, the companies which are into hygiene portfolio, they will enter into a new dimension, and it's a structural change, it's a habitual change. I mean, we are washing 4 times every day at least, right? So hygiene portfolio as it is will go to a different dimension. Health food, I think, should become a category leader. I think eating healthy will gain further momentum as there is a concern over building immunity. That is a big shift that I see. And I think within the categories, the discretionary ones will get impacted more than the staples ones. I mean, obviously that is there. And obviously the classic debate of must have versus good to have. And I think every depression or recession, the world is forced to evaluate these four things, right?
Right.
So this is, and along with this, I think the idea of social distancing is getting ingrained. So potential for online retail grows up big time. So these are the 4 to 5 things which I see in a broad way. While obviously we can go into a lot of smaller things as to what which industry will grow and all, but these are the broad new normal, I would say, axioms or right now what are the principles which are there. Right? Now,
Well,
how?
go on, please.
Yeah.
Please go
Uh,
on.
yeah. So how does the question now, which is what you are asking, is how does a digital supply chain caters to the new normal, right? Or how do we address this new normal with digital supply chain? And that's a very interesting question. So 3 or 4 things which I see, right, very practical when I see is obviously the evolution of B2B model. We had unorganized wholesale to retail, right? I mean, all these years we had this wholesalers in every place and every market, and they would cater. From there, we moved to organized cash and carry, like a Walmart, right? So that was the first evolution which happened. The second evolution which happened is both these organized cash and carry went into both online and offline, right? So there was a further evolution which happened, right? Now, after that, we have also now starting looking into parallel distribution level. Like you have a Udans, you have Jumbo Tails, right? Who are working on a parallel distribution models, right? Which are taking the cash and carry business to a next level, right? Now, after that, now what we are seeing is segment specific parallel distribution network. So there will be a there will be a parallel distribution which will cater to the pharma sector, right? So they will probably, along with OTC drugs, they will also sell our probably a Margo or a personal care product. So there is, and all these are online models wherein the retailer is downloading an app and placing an order, right? Versus the original where the wholesaler was actually sending the stocks to the retailer in an organized way. So this is one where I see a complete shift in the B2B space and more parallel online distribution networks coming into the space, right? So that is number one, right? The second big shift which I'm seeing is reaching to the consumers directly, right? So now you have the Dunzos of the world, the Swiggies of the world, the Zomatos of the world, who are actually carrying the stocks directly from the manufacturer to the consumer. So it's a direct to home, which uh, unfortunately in online grocery that had not taken up so much. But I think this particular change which has happened or this particular COVID has ensured deep fetch models, which is directly to the consumer through a Zomato, Dinzo, and Swiggy. So that is a big change that we are seeing, right? The third most important thing is Kirana is back, right? Now, all these years we had the Kirana channel actually not growing. We had the modern trades, we had the SAMTs, we had OFOs, we had e-commerce taking all the growth. But Kirana was always very subdued. Now, in this scenarios, because of convenience, hygiene, and ensure and people not going into the malls and all, the Kirana has come out as a very strong player. Now, how does a digital supply chain and all these years? One more thing is the distributor was ignoring the Kirana because the throughput from this Kirana was very less. So the cost of distribution was very high. So he was just over a period of time the Kirana channel started getting neglected or the growth started tapering. But now, with this new normal, I see Kirana coming in, and that's where our digital supply chain with geotagging, geofencing, SFAs, analytics, suggested orders, dream calls, focus SKUs, assisted selling becomes more and more relevant, right? Because you have to cater to 10 lakh outlets. So unless a salesman exactly knows that this retailer should be assisted with this particular assortment, right? With history, trends, suggested orders, he will not be able to make a gain. And with Kirana coming back, I see that this digital supply chain catering to the Kirana becomes extremely critical, right? Similarly, in the rural part of India, if you see where 70% of the consumers are rural, where most e-commerce platforms don't reach, I see that a digital maps which actually maps the motorized roads, village clusters, right, and how to make a beat in remotely sparsely. So all these will become very, very, very relevant. So I see that particular Kirana being back and a digital supply chain which caters to it will start gaining traction. And the last one which I see is the online POS machines, right? So what we are saying is the continuous replenishment model will probably go to the next level, right? So you have probably a POS machine on the Kirana store. Now that is capturing the offtake, that is linked to a distributor is linked to a depot is linked to the factory. So we will see a lot of these companies actually start tracking offtakes at the Kirana outlet, and probably the entire supply chain obviously gets digitized and moves in that particular direction. So these are the three major shifts that I see. So one is the normal, which I see in terms of how the change in landscape and the supply chain, how to cater to that normal. So that probably, if I have answered you or your question.
That was phenomenal. That was gold. I mean, that is very, very valuable. I really appreciate that. I'm going to have a couple of follow-up questions to that before I come to you, Ravi. So I understand. I mean, so Kirana is back is something that is we've been all saying. That was actually one of my things that I wanted you to understand how the role of Kirana. You, I think, already addressed that. One other question I wanted to ask about this is, I mean, this is slightly controversial, but for sales head, but let me ask you that question. What do you see as a role of sales team evolving
Yeah.
going forward? Because I know how important it is, but as a head of sales of a large FMCG company in India, how do you see the role of sales team evolving?
Yeah. So it's a very and in fact very right question, and we also seen evolution over the last 10 years, and we'll also see a lot of evolution going forward. What I see, first of all, as I said, I mean, we all started at the ground level. We were taking orders on copies, and we would convince the retailer that we take this, and from there we have started moving to the SME. Now, what I think going forward, right, with most of the apps coming in and the retailer has the convenience of placing the order, right, it's more about consultative selling, right? So, for example, if you see a pharma industry, right, a pharma industry, the medical representative is actually he's a consultant, right? He's not just a postman order taking will not happen, right? It's all about consultative selling, right? It's also about demand generation. So I see a lot of our roles getting changed because the normal order will go out because if I have a distribution say at all the outlets, or I'll say that probably I'll get additional 1% if you place an order through a distribution, then probably you don't need anybody to go there, right? But what a salesman will actually has to do is a very typical to a pharma industry, a medical representative, who actually goes to a doctor, convinces him, right? So that is the role. It's no more. So I would say, I mean, from an efficiency till now, FMCG has worked on efficiency drivers. How many calls you did? Did you do 50 calls? Did you do 25, 30 calls? Did you do three lines? So it was all like a efficiency tracking. From there, I think it will move towards selling, right? Wherein probably this particular SKU he doesn't take. So you have to convince him, see, these are the attributes. This is where he is better than the competition. These are my key USPs. So the role will change from efficiency, where he's running like a machine from one to an assisted selling, concept selling, consultative selling, and creating demand on the store. Well, so role will be very, very critical, but it's just that and that's why the people also, the sales force, the quality of the sales force will have to change in times going forward, because the normal order taking will be, it's like the Maslow's hierarchy theory. So hierarchy theory, the basic level will be taken care that somebody, I mean, the order taking will come through apps and all. You don't need somebody to go and take it. Did I answer your question, Lalit?
Absolutely, absolutely. So sales guys become more business development guys to
Yeah,
be able to do
absolutely.
consulting, and we need to help them upskill to that. And that's phenomenal. One more small question, Anil. on the product side of the things, right? I mean, consumption, like you talked a little bit about consumption and preferences and stuff like that. So, in overall in FMCG, we see now the trend during this time moving more towards either very small pack sizes or very large pack sizes. We're not seeing the trend so much toward mid-level pack size. One, do you see also see that in Jyothy Labs? And if you see that in future, do you actually see that to continue, or is it just a temporary phase?
See, actually, no, no, definitely. In fact, you have picked the right signal, right? We are seeing a lot of, I mean, either very small pack sizes or very large. And very large was obviously it was a panic buying which happened and hoarding which have happened, right? But what happens is once it has there and a consumer gets, I mean, he starts using the product, right? The chances that he might stick to it. So probably there will be some dropouts, but still the trend would continue. The smaller packs are very, very difficult because they are the seeding, which is what we call as recruitment packs, right? And what we are, so our strategy would be obviously to have a two-fold in terms of how do I cater to the big packs with a alternate week cycles, and obviously how do I cater to the small packs and ensure that the retail distribution is spread out. I go to as many outlets as possible, ensure that the recruitment is, it's like a recruitment pack. And we have also seen once the consumer goes for a recruitment pack, the chances of they're moving to the next higher level is also is there. So we see these trends and there, and yeah, you're right. We're seeing these trends across the industry, at least in our company.
All right. No, thank you so much. Ravi, let me come to you now about how the future is. So we heard that Anil has you know, large ambitions, huge plans and dreams to see D2C, to see online distribution, Kiranas being connected directly from their POS till our auto replenishment and back end, completely digital, smooth supply chain, so to say. Salesmen's evolving into more intelligent business development guys. How in tech side, what are you doing to prepare for it so that you have some that ready like you did before COVID or even during COVID? You have it ready before Anil needs it.
See, couple of things are like, for example, what Anil also mentioned, that direct to consumer is going to be the futuristic trend which could come in. Like continuous replenishment model is something which we are anyways working on, which could lead from currently from the distributor back to the company, but it could always be linked up to the retail orders coming in. So you'll have the at every point you define the various norms, and then accordingly the orders start coming flowing in.
Right.
There are certain other aspects which would come in, like for example, demand forecasting.
Yeah.
Now, demand forecasting, there definitely will be certain newer models which has to come in, which help us to predict the demand in a much more realistic way. Because if I take the demand as such currently, the COVID could alter that demand parameters which could get generated. So it could create some kind of a bias. So there has to be some newer models which needs to come in, which will help us to bridge that gap. Inventory management will one more aspect which will come in, because again, if you have to go with the continuous replenishment, you will have to have the various inventory management planned at various nodes and various or the various levels. Uh, Coming to slightly going ahead from more futuristic point of view, if you see that customers still love the store experience of buying from the store. And you see, there is a Nielsen survey which said that around 60% of the consumers agree or strongly agree to the fact that they love doing the grocery household shopping. So how is that thing which you are going to address in the future? So the technologies like VR could play a role there, which could come in showing the
Yeah.
virtual reality, augmented reality of the store, and then you pick and choose, and then you have the things coming in. And these are certain things which could be changing the how you interact, how you see, or how you do the buying from of these grocery or the household items. So certain things we could plan right now. Certain things could be in future which should definitely come in. And definitely, if you see, the COVID has come as an unexpected catalyst for tech adoption across the companies. So whoever what at the various stages of the curve had definitely wanted to push at least one step ahead of where they want to go ahead.
Absolutely. No, no, the adoption curve has been compressed, and that we, I mean, surely see it at Jyothy Laboratories. One of the other questions, you talked about technologies like virtual reality and stuff like that, and Anil also talked about D2C and stuff. So Ravi, do you see things like WhatsApp bot adoptions or voice recognition, like voice ordering and stuff like that happening? Do you see that instead of it taking its own normal curve of 2-3 years, do you think it actually getting used in market far more like in a year or so?
Yeah, that's what I said. Because if the you have to drive certain things, these are the tools which are readily available, which you can definitely incorporate at a very quick pace.
Hmm.
Say if I have to have a WhatsApp bot integrated and what WhatsApp bot collecting the orders, it's a almost a ready kind of a plugin which is available as a technology today for us to get going into as quickly as possible. So anybody who would want to go as a next step, these are certain things like a low hanging fruits available to pick up from the tech adoption point of view.
Absolutely. Would you want to, I mean, both of you want to give some sort of a, before I open this to the audience, right? Just give a brief about, how do you see Jyothy Laboratories as a company and all your brands, uh, you know, benefiting from this digital supply chain? Just as a small summary, saying, because it's not only just about two of you, but the overall, I think it's important that the whole company, whole brand, and every stakeholder associated with it has kind of taken together on this journey, and that's possibly why you are seeing the successes right now. Going forward, do you see that push being increased or same? I mean, how do you see that? I mean, what does it mean for Jyothy Laboratories as a company and a brand, and how does the future look like from digital point of view?
So Lalit, it's pretty clear that, as I've said, that the sales is now. I mean, I'll obviously talk from a sales perspective. It is on the foundation of digital or IT. Right? So whether it is a SFA, whether it is a disty man, whether it is green calls, whether it is assisted selling, right? Everything. So it's like I mean, most of the companies also are seeing the retail outlet. What is the best assortment that I can sell every day, and what should be the spread and what should be the inventory, right? So this can all, I mean, with so many, and obviously we as a company have got a very large spread of SKUs, right? So manually it is impossible to put the right SKU at the right outlet at the right time, right? It's impossible. So it has to be on the foundation of a very strong digital platform, and the entire supply chain obviously has to be digitized to ensure that the right stock is lying at the right outlet. So it has to be on the foundation of a very strong IT. And we see it doing more and more as we go forward.
Absolutely cool. Ravi, you want to add something?
No, precisely answered, because that's how we interact and how we react to the situations, and see that any technology, any business process that we generally have in Jyoti as a whole, typically we look as an automation or the digitization also as one of the element of that process.
Yeah. No, absolutely. This is phenomenal, guys. Again, before I open to the question, thanks for making sure these products reach home. So, in Bangalore, for example, if you know, because of the rains, it is also mosquito season, and Maxo helps. Obviously, so we try to obviously utilize as many Jyoti products at home as we can. And thanks for making sure they're available at the Kirana shop downstairs,
And
which would.
let us make sure that we are. I mean, yesterday's PM speech, right? The vocal for local, right? We are present in all categories, right?
All
Every
categories. And
category. So whether it is Maxo, whether it is Margo, right? Whether it is Ujala, every right, Mr. White, every category, Henko, every category we are present, right?
okay, exactly.
Even toothpaste, right? We have, I mean, neem toothpaste. So you don't have to look up to any of, so adopt Swadeshi, right? Go for the local, right?
Yeah,
And I think that's where, I mean,
absolutely.
that's how we build our economy, right?
And absolutely, and the quality of the product speaks for itself, because from what I know, and I talked to a couple of other global giants without taking their names, if they are worried about somebody in India, it is somebody like Jyothy Laboratories, who actually have a large consumer connect and a rural distribution to actually back that particular bit. So I mean, so you guys are obviously doing great, and this is an opportunity to actually make sure that you become that entire category leader in India, any which way.
Right. And go for Swadeshi.
Yes, absolutely. Right. So thank you so much. Let me now open for questions, audience. If you have any questions, you can raise your hand. There is a raise hand button on the right hand side. second button, and my colleague will Akshay will let you in to come on stage and talk about it. In the meanwhile, where I see those questions, I have a question in the panel, which I will. So, question to Anil: do you think post-COVID drivers like brand quality, brand equity, or loyalty will play a same role like pre-COVID, or it would be like whatever available? So, is the brand loyalty important post-COVID, or is it just availability?
Right. Very, very interesting question. And I would say that what happened in the COVID, and probably that would lead us to what might happen in this. And see, when the COVID happened, right, actually nobody cared at that time which brand was available at that point of time. So whatever was available, people took it up. And in fact, you and me, everybody has taken those calls. In
Yeah,
fact, when we were trying to even order from brokers and all, they did not have any other company SKUs. They had their own SKUs, but people brought it, right? So at that time, it was definitely availability because at the top of the mind of the consumer, I mean, the brand did not play a role. Now, what happened is after the COVID, yes, definitely brand will play because it's years of investment on the brand. So it cannot happen that just one small change might erase the entire thing. But what happens is, suppose during this period of time, if somebody has taken up a new brand, some new adoption. So suppose you were using Vim and now you have started taking EXO, right? Then and probably if you were satisfied with the performance of that product, you might still continue, right? So that what happens is that shaking has happened in the industry, and many of the new consumers might stick onto it, but still brand definitely plays a role. I mean, it's very difficult for, I mean, 50 years of investment behind a brand cannot be shaken by one this thing. But at the same time, if the consumers have taken a new brand, and if the brand has delivered on the promise, right, if the brand has delivered on the quality, if the brand has delivered on the commitment, then probably the consumers might stick. So there might be some shift in the overall table, which under the normal situation might not happen, right? Because it
absolutely.
requires huge investment. Yeah.
And that's actually
Hopefully,
the
I have
opportunity.
answered.
Yeah, and that's actually the opportunity some we are capturing on as well, right? So that now today's level, since we are ensuring availability pretty much everywhere else, we are actually creating those new brand loyalty. So it's also an opportunity for brands to bring in new kind of consumers which they didn't have before.
Correct.
Uh, uh,
And also one more is that many of the brands, like our brand Exo, I mean, they're more on the hygiene platform, like antibacterial and all. So that obviously resonates very much with the consumer, right? So those things probably will stick on to the consumer's mind, which are more on the hygiene platform, which are on the antibacterial, which are on the those things. They might probably stick on with the consumer. Yeah.
Absolutely. The second one question is also fairly interesting. So, how do you see? So, our FMCG runs on schemes and discounts and stuff like that. How do we see that evolving in a D2C era or a digital distribution kind of era? Now, today you have a direct reach to retailers. Tomorrow you might have a direct reach to consumers. How do you see those schemes and discounts evolving, which were primarily distributor driven or secondary driven?
Yeah, that's so very true. So I think see what used to happen is, I mean, in the pre-COVID area, it was not the D2C. Like as a consumer, we used to go to the retailer, right? And so the cost of the distribution was only till the retailer, right? Now in this particular case, what is happening is there is a cost of, so the consumer which was earlier going to the retailer, that leg of the cost of the distribution was actually being borne by the retailer, which the companies used to fund through their margins and through the schemes. Now, in the D2C, what happens is that particular space where you are getting it, which means that there is no cost in you going to the retailer, but somebody else is bearing that cost because Swiggy or a Zomato or a Dunzo, they are bearing that cost. So, what we see is that those schemes which were to the retailer are actually now going into that cost of distribution because that particular leg, which was earlier being borne by the retailer, is now borne by the Dunzo. So we will see a lot of shift in terms of the retailer schemes going into the distribution cost when it moves to the D2C. But overall, at a broad level, the cost of the distribution would remain same. That is what I would say.
Great, great. Thanks, Anil. So next question is from Lalit Verma from Parley Agro. On with the online gaining importance, this is primarily about online ordering and distribution you talked about. Do you think retail outlets would increase or add home delivery boys to their business and remove the competition, right?
Correct.
So do you think so part of direct to consumer, I mean, let me also paraphrase it my way, and you can answer that question and put mine also. Do you see D2C actually becoming D2R2C, direct to retail and retail to consumer? I mean, as a last mile logistics, do you see retailer or a kirana shop, as you said, being the last mile of the whole D2C evolution?
Yeah, so very right. So if you see, most of these companies are actually recruiting kiranas, right? So if you see most of these e-com companies, if you see in the last 2 months, there's been a huge recruitment drive by e-commerce companies in terms of recruiting kirana for the last mile delivery, right? So exactly what you're saying is exactly happening. And also the kiranas which were earlier not so keen to get registered, I think they also understand that probably the ordering and all these hygiene and contagious issues, so they might also have to get into it. So it is happening both ways. One is the online e-commerce companies recruiting kiranas, right, for ensuring the last mile delivery, and also the kiranas which are your standalone modern trades, like your neighborhood modern trade stores or your open format outlets. These guys are absolutely right. They're recruiting. They're having their own people who would actually go and deliver. So it will be very interesting to see how the landscape evolves over a period of time. But yes, I think every possible permutation combination is currently happening in this country. We never expected Zomato and Swiggy to actually carry grocery items, right? I mean, they are also carrying that. So, I mean, everybody is tying up. I mean, all sort of distribution leg models are being explored at this point, and it will be very interesting to see what finally sticks.
Alright, cool. So next question is from Michelle. What challenges in rural have worsened since lockdown? And assuming tech adoption is low in rural, how are you dealing with it? It's primarily aimed towards saying, in rural, what is the whole tech adoption story in general?
Yeah. So very true. Rural has, in fact, it's. I mean, probably it's different in different parts of the country. Like Maharashtra has got severely affected in rural, right? Telangana has got severely affected in rural. Some of the other parts, probably Haryana rural has not got so much of affected. But yes, so what has happened that in these you have normally what we used to call a sub stockist, or we call the counter wholesalers. Now these guys have the stock has not reached these locations. So it's not that there has been any reduction in the demand or else, but what has happened is that supply chain has got broken. So the stock which used to flow from typically a super stockist to a sub stockist, that has got completely for 30 35 days, and typically these guys would carry a 30 days of stock. So that has got impacted in the short run, but I guess that once with all the restrictions getting over, probably the things will improve. There's no issue as far as the demand is concerned, but as far as the supply chain, yes, it got broken severely. So very right on the point that you raised.
Right. Ravi, do you see any tech adoption challenges in rural versus urban?
Uh, See, rural typically the challenges are slightly more than urban in terms of your internet penetration and your the mobile device penetration into that, which is the smartphone penetration, which is actually still on the rise. If you see currently, yes, there are certain challenges with regards to digital in rural, but I don't see that maybe 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, definitely things are going to improve there as well.
Great. We will have to speed up. I think there are still questions pouring in. I'll try and address as many as I can, but some of them might be left out. So next one is from Manjunath Bhatt. He is from Global Consumers Company. So after implementing, this is for Anil, after implementing retailer app, what is your opinion on retailers using app to order? How much percentage of business has increased in those retailers?
See, we have so we started it close to 3 months back, right? So right now it's all about adoption, right? I mean, we are not so much worried as the throughput of these from these guys, which is there. I mean, obviously, the guys have started taking order, and what we normally do is the demand gets captured by the app, and the salesman is actually pushing the lines which is not doing. So, for example, we have EXO, Maxo, Prill, Ujala, right, Margo. So suppose if the guy is already placing an order of 3 brands, the salesman goes and pushes the 2 brands. But yes, the in the current situation, what has happened, just like when we saw Demon happen, the Paytm getting completely institutionalized. Similarly, at this point of the time, the Distimans and direct app, which in the normal course of journey, the adoption would have been absolutely difficult. But now the retailer is, because the retailer also wants to, I mean, what we have seen, in fact, I was discussing with Ravi. Ravi says that most of the ordering happens after 8 o'clock in the night because we have a continuous, I mean, we know when the orders can flow, right? So we were discussing, and he's saying after 8 o'clock, we can start seeing the orders. So yes, there's definitely a quantum jump. And more than the quantum jump, what we are interested is in adoption, right? So that tomorrow, if there is a, suppose there is a salesman is not there, right? A beat is not getting catered, or it has got into a containment zone. So I'm more interested that there is a pipe which is functional at that point of the time, and so that which I can activate at any point of the time. And yes, definitely there is an increase. And right now the consumer, right now the retailer is completely ready to take any sort of IT adoption. Just like in Demon we had Paytm. After before that, I think hardly anybody of us used to use it. So this is the time when it actually hits hard, and people are ready to take it. Yeah.
So if you
I
see
hope I have
it,
answered.
if you see it overall as a concept also, when you said that retailer app, if you see a pre-COVID scenario, you would not have anticipated that the retailers will actually adopt that as a retailer app, and they will start ordering from there. But you
Yeah.
see post-COVID scenario, that even our
Yeah.
the hypothesis had automatically changed, saying that yes, they are actually ordering from the retailer app.
And also, what happens is many of these our products are very essential products, right? It's not a distillery like an EXO, right? It's an antibacterial, right? You need to have that product. Now, when there is a demand, then the consumer would definitely, or retailer would find a way to get it. And even if it is in a containment zone, he would find it a way to at least make the order happen to our distributor, right? Similarly, a Margo, right, where it is required. I mean, if you are washing your hand 4 times a day, you require that product, right? So when there is a demand for the product, all I need to ensure that the pipe is on, right? There is a water flow and there is no disconnect. And that is what we are ensuring with all the technology. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So I took it away from it that Paytm, this is a demonetization movement for Distiman. So yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for that backing. Okay, let me go to the next one. I think we have a little time and a lot of questions. What are new upcoming advancements in marketing of new products to Kirana owners from sales rep? So, what are the new advances that you are seeing in the marketing channel? Are either trade marketing or general marketing when a sales rep is talking to a Kirana store?
See, advancement, what I would say is, typically a salesman uses a product catalog, right? In terms of, and right now I'm just focusing the entire, I'm not obviously talking about the brand campaigns and those things. I'm right now only talking about BTL activities or BTL. I hope that is the case. See,
Yeah.
I think earlier it was all product catalogs. I think with all this automation, what is happening is the moment, it's like the moment salesman is going to an outlet, right? Immediately a pop-up comes, right? This is this history. I think you suggest, and this is the product which we should suggest for him, and these are the probable offers which are running on it, right? So it's very customized. So if I have to answer, it is very customized to an outlet, right? What we should push up, and also the SFAs or they actually highlight to you what are the various offers which are running, and also after that it's all about the normal danglers, posters, banners. I think that is the question, right? Which is more
Yeah, yeah.
BTL and
BTL marketing,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. So I
Uh,
think the change is from a normal product catalog to an
digital.
SF, to a digital catalog. But
Yeah.
digital catalog is it's very interesting because it can, I mean, for a normal product, how much we can actually show. Whereas in a digital, it like runs at a very fast speed where you can gather the information and actually ensure that it is communicated to the right outlet. Yeah. Okay.
It's interactive as well.
Yeah. Interactive as well. Yeah. Yeah.
I see a raised hand. Do you want to let that person in to take the mic? Hello, Akshay?
Hey, Lavit, I have just yet let Srivardan inside. He's accepting.
Okay.
But you can carry on with the other questions till you don't.
All right. I'll ask two questions, and if you can let the person in, then we'll take that person's question. So one more from Lalit Verma, which says there are companies which have database of more than 50K societies in about 40 cities in India. So there is a societies data.
Yeah.
Do you see? This is something I have been wondering as well. Do you see a shift from Kirana or shop to the association
Correct.
becoming some sort of a keeper?
Very, very good question. And if you see DMart, right? So what is DMart doing currently? They have their kiosks, right, or their vans, whatever you call. They are actually getting the vans and putting it in the society, right? So you can come down and buy it. And so this was something which was probably not explored because it was never in our radar. But with this current COVID situation, right, this is going to be a big, wherein I mean it's all about getting licensing with the apartment RWAs for the resident welfare associations and ensuring that there is a stand and then there is a where you can actually get your truck there and ensure that the sale happens. Companies are doing it. Very right question. Like a DMart currently is doing it, and there are many other companies also which are exploring that particular option. So they are going to be a very big, which was till now not a part of the normal general trade structure, but an alternate distribution. But this is going to be a very good point actually raised. I think that this shift is going to happen.
Absolutely. No, great. We are running out of time, so I'm just going to put this last question before we end this. So this is for you, Ravi. This is actually very interesting. This is for you and me. So the question is, how will companies spend or adopt technologies in these times? So when everybody is looking at cutting costs and everything, right? Somebody like Jyothy Labs is looking progressively to invest more in technology, both from a time, effort, energy, adoption, training, and investment. How do you think companies like you are actually investing in technology when everybody is running away from it?
See, nothing will change as such in terms of spend, what I understand. It is only the prioritization which will change. Now, if there are, say, X number of projects that I had planned to invest in from the technology point of view, tomorrow that investment is maybe going towards two or three projects, but on the slightly on the larger scale, or the prioritization from one project could change as a prioritization, which will be having much more business impact. And because there are certain always a good to have projects and need to have projects, so the investment is going towards need to have projects, which will try to bring in more of, like, for example, if tomorrow I have to invest in RPA, for example, RPA is investing in RPA is definitely going to bring me some value in the business point of view. So any technology or any adoption or any spend towards those technologies will always keep on happening.
Yeah. So, if I may transfer it, I would say that if the technology is actually helping business grow or make
Yeah.
money, that spend on technology will actually go up rather
Yes.
than going down, because you're eventually helping the business to make
Correct.
money or save more money. All right. So, on that note, I would like to close this particular session. Thank you so much, Anil. It was very perceptive, and thank you so much, Ravi, in terms of sharing so many details. I think it was very valuable. We had about at peak we had about 200 people listening to it live, and there'll be always more people listening to it on YouTube. So thank you so much for taking out time and doing this with us today. Really appreciate it. Have a good evening ahead.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Anil.